Well, thousands of foreign nationals freed from scam centers on the Thai-Myanmar border have been left in limbo after a multinational crackdown. The compounds in Myanmar are run by criminal gangs as part of a wider network across Southeast Asia, where the UN says hundreds of thousands of people have been trafficked and forced to work in online scam rings. But thousands who have been freed are currently stuck at the border, according to Thai officials. Well, Pravit Rojanapruk is a senior reporter with Khaosod English, and he joins me now from Bangkok. Pravit, good to have you with us again this evening. Firstly, can you tell us about these scam centers? What do they do and how have they been operating?
Well, basically, they're mostly run by Chinese nationals who operate chiefly in Myanmar along the Thai-Myanmar border. So what happens is that they do call the Chinese people back in China, offer them, what they believe to be lucrative job. So it's easier for them to travel to Thailand. So they land in Bangkok, and then someone through a corrupt network would take them into Myanmar across the Thai border, and that's where they realize they have been scammed and duped and then forced to work and, to expand the scam networks. But also some of the victims are Thai nationals who receive phone calls from Thai people who either have been forced, lured, or misled to work in Myanmar, as well as along the border in Thailand and Cambodian border to basically scam people. So it's Thais as well as Chinese nationals, but they're operating outside Thailand, basically.
Yes, so of course, and assuming that once they get across the border into Myanmar, they don't have any more power. So what do we know about the conditions that the victims have been exposed to when they are made to work in those scam centers across the border in Myanmar?
Well, some form of forced labor, and unless you're really colluding with them willingly. So it depends on what sort of workers you ended up. There was a Chinese actor who was lured there, which turned this whole story into a big news. And when he returned to Thailand after being sent back a couple of weeks ago, his head was totally shaved. It says a lot about the conditions. Some journalists have been across the border, and you could see metal rails outside the apartment buildings where these people are staying and working. So basically a semi-slave or forced labor across the border in Myanmar.
Yes, and can you tell us, Pravit, how were they rescued? Who brought them back, I suppose, across the border?
Well, it's a multinational effort. First of all, many of these areas in Myanmar are in a sort of no man's land because it's run by various ethnic groups fighting the Burmese military junta. So there's really no clear jurisdictions. Second, the Chinese have come, after the cases have gone big and reported widely. The Chinese has sent a minister known for cracking down on criminality. He arrived in Thailand. He did even cross the border. So that combined with the Thai government and an engagement between Bangkok and Naypyidaw, the capital of Myanmar, have led to some release. Not all of them, but hundreds of them have already been released over the past few weeks.
Yes, and we're also getting reports, though, Pravit, that thousands are stuck in limbo on the Thai-Myanmar border after their release. Can you shed more light into this? Why that is the case?
Well, first, the Thai government will have to identify the nationality of each of them. And they're not just Chinese. I think there are people from a host of other nationalities who have been lured there as well. And then they will have to check their history, their profile. It's going to take a while to work with the respective embassies. But again, the latest words we heard over the past few days is that those who are running the towns along the border said they feel no longer interested in cracking down, taking a lot of labor and willingness or convictions from them. It's not going to be easy because apparently I think it's conceivable that these scammers are bribing both Thai as well as Myanmar officials in order to be able to operate from there.
Yeah, so it does beg the question, Pravit. Can you explain how and why so many sprung up, not just across the border to Myanmar, but I understand in Cambodia and Laos as well?
First, let's start with Myanmar. It's in the middle of a civil war. So as I said, it's almost a no man's land, who's really running. There's no clarity. Second, for Cambodia, for some, Cambodia is almost regarded fair or not, or accurately or not, as almost a virtual economic colony of China. So the Chinese, both legal and illegal business people, have a lot of influence in that. The same can be said about Laos. So these are countries under a very strong influence of China. And the law enforcers are not really something that we wanted to look up to. And even Thailand is vulnerable, but at least we know that they are not operating in Thailand, but using Thailand as a transit point to lure these people into either Myanmar or Cambodia or even Laos.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a shocking story, and it's obviously in Thailand. It's gone all the way up to the Prime Minister, Pai Tongtan. Do you think, what does she have to do to sort of deal with it diplomatically with those few countries, particularly Myanmar, given, she's got to deal with these authoritarian leaders who run those countries?
Right. In fact, the matter was raised to no less than the Chinese President Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping received the Thai Prime Minister in Beijing recently, and this is one of the topics that was raised between the two during the bilateral meeting. And according to the news, the Chinese President Xi, has expressed support for the crackdown. That's why a Chinese minister was sent to Thailand and did even cross the border to Myanmar. So it is a big issue, but it's going to take more than that, chiefly because Myanmar is a no man's land and in the middle of a prolonged civil war.
Yes, okay, Pravit Rojanapruk, I really appreciate you shedding more light on this really crucial story. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.